Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Cash Pallets and Liquidation University. My name's Brent, and I'm going to walk you through a couple things here today. We're going to talk about what kind of pallets to get and where to get them from. I get this question quite frequently of what kind of pallets that we get. We get pallets from all over the place, but I'll tell you a few we've had over the past 12 to 18 months. We've had pretty much every place you can think of. We've had a lot of Target loads, which tend to do pretty well. Target loads of this kind, they are typically the unprocessed kind. That's where we typically buy when we buy the pallets by themselves. If we're going to buy them by the truckload, we'll buy them in a couple different categories. We'll buy them by the either manifested or unmanifested, which is another thing you need to be concerned about. We can discuss that in a moment, but we'll buy them as where they are unprocessed, kind of like return loads, look kind of a little bit messy. We bought those so we can sell those out in our yard sale or warehouse sale that we have. We've also taken where we've brought the box pieces or the where they have the shelf pull stuff. We've had a lot of that stuff where we get a lot of toys and clothing and things like that, where we get lots of the same piece over and over again, which has been pretty good too. So both are good. They both have their good and bad. It just comes down to how you're going to get rid of them. So that can be discussed at a later time. But when it comes to these items, it all comes down to what methodology you're going to use to get rid of things. And so for us, we sell online mostly. About 90% of our sales come from online, and then we do have a small bin store and do some special sales on weekends at times as well. So all three of those things, some Facebook sales, very few others, but that's about it. I like porch pickup kind of things, which seem to be pretty common as well. So that, and then what else do we have? So let's see, Target. Let's talk about another one that's really good that we've actually had some really good success with, probably some of our best, which would be the CVS pallets. I think that when we bought the truckload of CVS, we didn't buy that by the pallet because I don't have anybody around me when I've looked for it for CVS by the pallet, but I did have CVS by the truckload, and those pallets are really, really good. You can expect them to be full. I mean, when I say full of lots of stuff, and it could be really small stuff, and sometimes it's repetitive. So examples would be like, we got in a run where it was like probably a half a pallet of paper for school paper, notebook paper. Got a lot of that, and that was something that we had to figure out how to get rid of. So get those done in sales or done in bulk online. So those both worked for us very well. Pencils, pens, we had thousands and thousands of pencils and pens in that load. We had different headphones in that particular load. The CVS load was chock full of headphones. Fortunately for us, it happened to be right in the middle of COVID, right when kids were staying home for school, and they needed headphones in order to go to school. So that actually worked out really, really well. So we're talking like the lower end brands, not the high end, so not like Bose or those kinds of things. We're talking like Philips lower end corded headphones for the most part. We did have some Wi-Fi, but very few of those. Some with microphones, some without. Some are $5, some are $20. In that range. So $5 to $20 range. So those turned out really, really well. There was some other things we had there as well, like some small appliances, some kitchenware, things of that nature that turned out really well. So there's some really good things to be had in a CVS load. So if you're wondering if that's a good purchase, that could be. We did really well on that overall as far as a return on investment. So that was really good. In addition to that, we also had a Walgreens pallet. Now that one's a little bit different. We thought it would be the same as the CVS, and we were shooting for that, and it turned out to be a little bit different. We got more of the cosmetic stuff, the household items, just random, like books and some video games and movies and things of that nature. So it wasn't quite the same, but then again, it just maybe was a different distribution center or fulfillment center for Walgreens versus CVS. So maybe on the next Walgreens one, it was to be different. I mean, we didn't do as good as we did on on CVS, but we did well. And we were able to get rid of it. Typically, most of that stuff was done at probably 50-50 online and in the bin store and on the special parking lot sales that we would have. So on those 2 pallets. In addition to this, we did Target, CVS, Walgreens so far. So we've also done Lowe's. Lowe's by the truckload, not by the pallet. I don't know if I'd really want to go by the pallet unless I could go and visit and pick out the pallets myself. Knowing what they could be in there and what is in there, it's pretty interesting to see that you could find anything from like a complete pallet of nothing but broken, let's say, windows. That somebody dropped something on the pallet and all of a sudden all the windows are cracked and they need to get rid of them. So could be that, all the way from that to a pallet that's full of broken hoses. But then there could be a pallet that literally has, like 3 brand new Husky desks, or not desks, but workbenches, and or toolboxes and that kind of thing. Those really worked out well. We've never bought a Lowe's pallet that we didn't do well on. But then again, now they've raised the prices since we've actually been doing that. So I'm not sure now that the prices have been raised, if that's something that you'd want to consider. But be cautious. If you're going to buy a whole truckload, be prepared, because it doesn't fit in a normal, it may say it's 24 pallets, but it probably fits more like 30, because they're not their typical shape. There could be double pallets. The pallets could be wider, it could be taller, it could be longer. Lots of overhang, things like that. And be prepared for lots of trash in those particular pallets. You got to take the bad with the good. So the bad in this case would be the broken hoses, the open boxes, the containers, just the variety of things that you're going to get when you buy things like that unmanifested, which means there's you never know what you get or gonna get, and just be prepared for that. Now on the Home Depot front, there's lots of different types of Home Depot loads. The turbo loads, the tools loads, and the miscellaneous, and or seasonal. So we've had a little bit of each, some good, some bad. I would have to say that comes down to who you buy them from. So be cautious. Make sure that you're dealing with a reputable person. Make sure you get referrals. They're easy to come by these days, and if you look around, you'll find them. Especially if you're on Facebook, and or in some of the groups. And or even in the comments probably of our videos here, you should be able to find somebody to help you out, including myself. So just ask, and we can in the comments, and I can hook you up with the right people. But there are lots and lots of different pallets you can get from Home Depot. Again, another one of those ones I'd want to see first before I actually jumped in and bought it, unless they can send you lots of images and or videos on the actual pallet you're going to get. That would be the way to go. Referrals and seeing it on camera beforehand would be the way to go for those. Now, let's see, the big daddy, I guess, in this case would be, for us, in this case, would be Amazon. And then that's what I'm probably the most familiar with. It's what we deal with all the time. We deal with Amazon high piece count and a little bit of Amazon mediums. Those are the 2 that we buy the most. We've only bought 1 floor load, which is the bigger stuff. And that didn't turn out really well. It was too big, too much stuff for our little warehouse. We don't have a very big space, about 3,500 square feet. And so, because we sell mostly online, and dealing with Amazon in that way, with the bigger pieces, it was difficult for us to move. It took a little bit longer than we'd like to have things, and it took up a lot of space. Now, Amazon piece count, high piece count, those are what we buy probably the most. Those can be purchased by a pallet and by the truckload. Truckloads, we prefer the direct from the fulfillment center if we can get that. You have to do your homework on those, find out the people that have those contracts, deal with them directly, and be prepared to pay a premium if you happen to get a extremely good load, which did happen to us one time. We got an extremely good load. It was chock full of stuff, probably triple to quadruple the normal volume you would get in one of those loads. It was full of $50 cosmetics. We probably had $50 to $100 cosmetics, and we probably had a few thousand of the same one, which turned out to be great, but also the bill you had to pay for those is extreme. So be prepared for those. That's something that could take a hit to the cash flow if you're not prepared for it. So be prepared, but those are the ones, if you're going to be selling online, are going to be the absolute best. And they're also really good for the bin stores too. We tend to pick ours over a tad bit too much sometimes, but and create ourselves a lot of work on the back end. But when we get the right load and we process it just right, it really does produce a lot of results for us. So I would suggest that would be the way to go if you're looking to kind of split your efforts between, like, let's say a bin store and or buying online, or buying or selling online. I would buy a high piece count Amazon stuff, so that way you could actually get it done the way you need to. Now the Amazon mediums for us, gosh, it's kind of like a hit or miss for us. So some good, some bad. Those would be purchased by the pallet typically for us, probably between 5 and 10 at a time. And we tend to sell those. Majority of them, it's probably more like 25% go online and the rest go in the bin store, due to the size and the weight, because shipping some big things these days, if you're not familiar with the shipping, it's expensive and it's not as cheap as it used to be. So we tend to lean towards getting rid of those either locally through the bin store, parking lot sales, and or listing them individually on, let's say, Facebook or something like that for porch pickup versus shipping, and or warehouse pickup in this case. So we tend to do that a lot, and that works out real well for us. So again, just recapping, the high piece count is the way to go. We get a little honking visitor over here. The high piece count's the way to go if you're going to be selling online and having bin stores, and you can get those individually online. So I did a little search, just kind of curious to see if I could find them locally for myself, and man, I didn't get anything truly locally. I live in California. The best I could get was about 6 hours away from me, but I did find them with a regular source. I can get them at any time, and get 2, 3, 5, half a truckload, obviously a full truckload. Full truckloads are easy to come by if you just got to be patient to wait your turn, so to speak. But they're out there and available. So a typical online search, pallets, places near me, ask around, make some phone calls. I probably made, I don't know, give or take 20 phone calls, and I finally found the source I was looking for. I did find some other people that had the mediums and some other things that you could consider if you were looking. But if you're going to be selling online and you need the high piece count, then just search online and make the phone calls and ask the questions around the groups. Even can ask here in our group, and we can, depending on where you're located, we can start sharing some suggestions for you. So that's it for now. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more going on with regards to how to sell and where to sell. I can give you some examples of where we found, or what we find in both the Target, Amazon, and I forgot to mention there's one additional company that we tend to buy from sometimes, but normally by the truckload to sell them by the pallet, which is they call it the 3PL, which is the third-party logistics company, and the person who sends it to me is they mystery boxes or mystery pallets, and so they're literally just cardboard boxes on the outside with a bunch of lettering and labels on them, and they're typically really large pieces. So we don't sell them. We'll sell them at the bin store, but not at bin store prices. We'll sell them like a one-off prices, because it could be something like a treadmill would be a good example. We had several of those, heavy bags for boxing. We've had like multiple deep fryer grillers. We had what they call it, a survival person's raft, like if you needed to be in survival mode or whatever it might be. So anyway, long and short, the mystery pallets, those can be pretty interesting, especially if you're willing to put in the work. There's a lot of money to be made there if you have the time. Time is something that's precious to our company because we have so much going on, but with the minimum staff that we have. But if you have the time and you want to put some time in, and you can really turn, say, a $500 pallet into $1,500 to $3,000 if you get the right stuff on there. So that's a 3PL company. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have today for this topic. If you guys have any questions or need anything else, let me know. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, so that way next time I post something, you guys will be first to hear about it. Talk to you soon.